Welcome to Technology Brothers, the most profitable podcast in the world. Jordy, how are you surviving? There are fires all over your house. Give us the breakdown.
Fortunately, not over my house, John. But yeah, thank you to everybody that reached out over the last 48 hours. There is a big fire raging in Malibu. Luckily, it's not. It's a few miles from my house, but got enough distance that we were never directly under threat. But yeah, didn't have power for the last couple of days. I was able to get Wi-Fi from my neighbor, so I was sitting on the edge of my house, with their permission, of course, but sitting on the edge of my house, making sure I could still get posts out on the accounts. But yeah, wasn't an excuse to miss recording today. Yeah. Rolled out of bed, took the one road out of Malibu that was still open, and made it to the studio. Got dressed as we always do, and got a shave courtesy of the Jonathan Club where we record, and now we're on the mics. So
fantastic, blessed. Yeah, I think while you were scrambling around Malibu trying to find safe haven and deal with all the chaos there, I was relaxing at Disneyland, which was great.
You were a little Tuesday Disneyland.
Yeah, a little Tuesday Disneyland with the 3-year-old. It was fantastic. Highly recommend it. It's fascinating. It really makes you appreciate authoritarianism.
Totally.
There are metal detectors now to even get into downtown Disney, which is just like a mall so you can't even go shopping without getting through the metal detector. So it's just perfectly safe there. Everything is perfectly clean. There's just people everywhere. Total surveillance state. You sacrifice all your rights when you go in. But I've realized that, in light of recent events, they need to put metal detectors outside of Manhattan. It needs to be a prison colony.
No, that's why being in Dubai, the UAE broadly is so nice and relaxing, because you walk around and given you have this feeling when you enter the monarchy. I shouldn't even call it a country. It's a fiefdom almost. You have this feeling that you're entering a highly secure place that's run in a highly competent way, where there's one guy who understands that it's my responsibility as king to keep the people safe.
Yeah. I mean, a billionaire reached out to me and was like, "You guys shouldn't talk so much about luxury goods. You live in America. You can only do that in Dubai or Singapore."
Yeah, or Miami.
or Miami. It's like, you need to be in a place with strong property rights, John. Stop what you're doing. And I was like, I'm not afraid. I will put on a bulletproof vest every day if it means I can wear a nice watch.
Driving nice cars, wearing watches or whatever, it's motivating to try to get our country safer and more secure. Yeah. And use the leverage that we have. Yeah. But it won't be on this podcast because we don't talk about politics.
But Disneyland is an interesting place to reflect on, like, the American populace. I read something that it's like the most perfect representation of maybe the world demographics, or at least American demographics. Like one of every type of person is represented. Obviously, there's a dearth of Pateks, a plethora of Tweety Bird tattoos, and the whole experience leaves you thinking you need to go turbo long Novo Nordisk, but these are our people. And what I came from away from it with this idea that it's like, this is our team for America. Yeah. And
it's a team we got.
And we can't just reset and start fresh. These are our compatriots. These are our colleagues, and we need to work hard to make America a fantastic place for everyone. And so it's inspiring. But one thing that kept hitting my mind as I was walking around Disneyland was that it is, people think of it as expensive, a couple $100 to get in. The price always goes up. Everything's expensive, but they are fantastic at price discrimination. So a couple $100 to get a ticket in, but for maybe if you spend a few $1,000s on your family, you can buy basically every single fast pass, and all the lines go from like 60 minutes to like 10 minutes. It's great. So clearly they figured out that there's a whole group of people that are willing to pay an order of magnitude more.
There's the $20K.
I was about to bring that up.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you pay something like $20K for your family, there is a Disneyland employee who will walk you around and walk you directly to the front of every line.
Do they wear a tux though?
No, they're a cast member, so they're in kind of a very like it's like almost old timey Hollywood, like pinstripes and bow tie type thing.
Great, that works.
But they'll educate you on what the best flow is, answer any questions, give you extra history about the park. It turns it into a really crazy experience. But every actor or actress that works on a Disney show gets one of those free. And it used to be unlimited. It used to be whenever you wanted to go to Disneyland, if you were on a Disney show or a star in a movie, they would just, come get the $20,000 experience. But apparently, Kim Kardashian was so obsessed with Disneyland, she was going every single month.
They changed
the rule. But now she just pays because she loves it. Yeah. And I was thinking about that. I was like, that's incredibly humanizing. People are very like, oh, Kim's like this, Machiavellian, like crazy, like, person who's like so driven. But like, I love that. At the end of the day,
I love loves Disneyland.
Yeah, just loves Disneyland.
And giving that experience to her children.
Yeah, exactly. And so my
that would be actually savage though. She was like, no, we're not bringing the kids. This is my Disneyland. This is my doom.
Amazing. But I love that Disneyland, you can go and have an experience for maybe $200. You can go and experience for $2,000 or $20,000. Yeah. And that spread is the same product.
There's the $5 million product.
Yeah, you can do a buyout. Yeah,
we'll get to a buyout
of the whole thing. And so, and I think actually Citadel did a buyout there. I'm pretty sure they bought out all of Disney World or something like that, some hedge fund, or maybe Goldman or something. But so just a fantastic example of price discrimination when they have a product that people wouldn't normally think is like consumption based. Like obviously AWS has price discrimination because the more servers
there's a lot of mid-sized companies out there that probably spend, let's say they spend a lot of money on their holiday party, right? Maybe they spend $500,000, right? They have to fly a bunch of people in, and there's some events and maybe performers and big catering fees, locations, all that stuff. Those companies should start just doing a Disneyland buyout every 10 years for retention purposes. To be like, well, it's been 8 years. Like, you got to get to the buyout.
Exactly.
And they end up staying, right? That's better. It costs the same amount of money.
That's great.
But if you took that $500K that you're spending every year, invested into the markets, you'd also get, potentially it'd be even less than doing the events every single year.
That's one of the best things about Hereticon, like Founders Fund. That's not an annual thing. It happens it's happened twice now, and it was like everyone was like last year's Hereticon, but it was actually like 3 years earlier, and it happens very randomly. It's not an annual schedule, so it's like when you get the invite, you have to say yes because it's not just going to happen next year. Whereas the holiday party, you get invited. Oh, I'll catch the next one. Yeah. But my challenge to the listener is, what could you be doing today to drive more price discrimination? Like, we're going to launch a merch store at some point. You can bet your life that there's going to be something in there for $50. There's going to be something for $500, and there's definitely going to be something for $5,000 in there.
Absolutely.
Because you need to be capturing the value of the entire breadth of your audience. And it's obvious if you're in a consumption B2B software product, but if you're not, and
at the end, we'll have venture debt products for entrepreneurs. We'll have even, venture fund like line of credits, right? If you have, if you're doing a capital call, but you haven't the capital, you need a little bit extra time to fund an investment. We'll have products for you, right? So full spectrum of products for this audience.
I mean, a venture fund is like the best way to price discriminate in an audience of founders, because the higher value the founder, the more money you make when you invest. And I think that's why so many content creators have built funds on the back of it and run ads. It's very, very hard to capture the full value of your audience. You look at what Ben Thompson has done at Stratechery, that there are major multi-millionaires at Meta who subscribe to Stratechery. For $200.
And they're the people they make decisions that lead to hundreds of millions of dollars of spend in various infrastructure products.
Now he's very happy with how much the big book of business he's built up, and he likes not having that conflict of interest with the ads. So it's kind of made sense for him. But if he really wanted to maximize the value of Stratechery, it would just be ads and a venture fund for sure. Anyway, moving on. So go and figure out how you can squeeze more money out of your best customers, because they have
do it in a way that's aligned. Nobody spending the $20,000 at Disney is unhappy that they're spending that money. They're getting a great experience out of it.
Yeah. So let's move on to, it's the holiday season. Everyone's thinking about what gifts to get for their loved ones, their friends, their colleagues. And we're going to do a bit of a gift guide. We've talked about the Information's gift guide before. It was an absolute disaster. I don't think they had a single item on that list that was over $1,000.
Disaster.
You're going to need a little bit bigger budget to follow along today, but there should be a lot of interesting items and there's interesting selections.
Something for everyone in here.
There really is. There really is. So we're going to run through a few different archetypes that might match folks in your life and give you some guides for what type of gifts you should be putting under the Christmas tree this year. Let's start with the absolute size lord, the billionaire, the deca-billionaire. You're shopping for the man who truly has everything. What do you get them?
Hard to shop for.
Hard to shop for. I say we start with cars, and I think you got to go McLaren F1.
How can you not?
It's going to be a $20 million car, but it has incredible history, both in the automotive world and in the tech world.
Yeah, and it's something that someone can appreciate, even whether they're into cars or not, right?
Yeah.
You don't need too much time to explain the significance of the McLaren F1
Yeah. Gordon
until
Murray.
somebody is getting really, really interested in
And as soon as
vehicle.
you sit in that middle seat, it's not left-hand drive, it's not right-hand drive, it's center drive.
Center drive.
And the best part, you can take two friends for a ride because it seats three in the front seat.
Yeah, and it's funny because I wish more. Did you ever? We had an old like country farm truck growing up that had three in the front, and some of my best memories are with my dad driving, me or my little brother in the middle seat, and then the right seat. And we need to bring back car. I think it's really dangerous. I think it's why they probably killed it. But
they actually are bringing it back. Hyundai is releasing a new Palisade that has 9 seats.
Hyundai is cooking
They're
right now.
They're cooking, absolutely.
They basically ripped off the Range Rover with
they did.
the new Palisade.
Yeah.
Like they're just
It
like,
looks so good.
It's ours. This is our silhouette now.
Yeah, exactly.
And the interior, we're going to take all your colors
Yep.
and textures.
Yeah,
and we're
it's
just
because in Korea, if you have a 9-passenger vehicle or more, you can use a bus lane. And
No way.
And so they were like, let's just put 9.
But do you have to have
I don't know
9?
if you need to have 9 in there, or you just need to have 9 seats. I think you just need to have 9
That's
seats. And so they're just like, it's technically a bus, so you can just take it anywhere. And then they were like, yeah, well, let's just sell this in America. So it has the bench seat in the middle, and you can just pull it up. So yeah. If you're shopping for the size lord, get them a McLaren F1, and then of course we have to get them a watch, and we highly recommend picking up a Graf Diamonds Hallucination. For $55 million. It's the ultimate in jeweled watches, over 110 carats of rare colored diamonds. It's truly
and for
the
context, I think a lot of people that listen to the show follow us on X as well, and this was the watch that we recommended Mark Andreessen actually get 8 of if he's going to follow the 2% rule.
They only made one. But
they only made one. But you can. This is
more.
the kind of piece that you can commission. Like it's not really the kind of thing you walk in off the street and say, "Hey, can I get a Graf Diamonds Hallucination?"
You know the funniest thing about the Hallucination? It's a quartz watch.
Really?
Yeah, it's not mechanical.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta I gotta change the battery on my $55 million watch. It's great.
Hey, it's a
But
good.
that's not
It's a
why
good
you
reminder
wear it,
that you have a
folks.
$55 million watch, though.
Exactly.
Every once in a while, you want to be like, "Oh yeah."
Gotta change the battery. Okay, let's move on to guns, which is obviously something you'll be gifting to loved ones this year. And for the absolute size lord, the Giga Chad, the Deca-billionaire, we're going with the Cabot Guns Meteorite 1911 pistols. They're maybe $4.5 million for the pair, but I have some copy for here, and it's fantastic. The timeless design of the 1911, the ageless significance of interstellar materials, the innovative techniques of an all-American gun company, a trinity of circumstance fused together into the perfect embodiment of a transcendent vision. After billions of years of travel, a meteorite hurtled to Earth in Namibia during Earth's prehistoric times. Unknown to Western civilization until the early 1800s, pieces were used by the ancient Nama people in the construction of tools and weapons. In 2015, its destiny not yet fulfilled, the hands of Cabot Guns master craftsmen wrapped around a 77-pound piece of unshapen metal, and so began a transformation. We too, like the men of yore, saw in it the potential to shape earthly perfection from materials from the cosmos. What a fantastic marketing language.
This reminds me, a while back I was looking into, I wanted to get a 1911 with with a trigger made out of shark tooth.
Oh, that's great.
Like basically, which is totally possible.
Yeah, totally.
It's not it's certainly not easy, but in the world of high-end custom firearms manufacturing, which I happen to have a little bit of experience in, anything is possible.
So I think that's really going to
dream it,
stand out if you get them the Meteorite pistols.
But yeah, the Meteorite, can't go wrong with Meteorite. Pretty much anything.
Okay,
it's a
then
great option.
we got to move on to vacations for the Size Lord. What are we getting them for a vacation? We recommend a box at every Formula One race. This is going to run you $3 to $5 million, but they're going to be able to enjoy it for not just 1 month, but basically the entire year.
They will not be able to almost go a single month without thinking about you.
Exactly.
Which is the goal, right? If you're buying something for a Billionaire, you want to be top of mind, whether it's just a friend or you have some type of business relationship with them, or if you're another Billionaire and you're actually competing kind of PvP to try to accumulate the most assets.
Yes.
Getting your rival Billionaire box seats for every F1 event is such a good way to distract them.
Exactly.
Not to mention, I think a gift like this is great. Most of our Billionaire friends are not going to be going to every single race. Like F1 can get boring, right? It's definitely, especially if Verstappen, continues his tear. And but it's the kind of thing you can, as a Billionaire, can re-gift it. They can say to their second or third cousin, "Hey, do you want this? I can't make it."
Yeah.
Like
the box holds 50 people sometimes.
Yeah.
They can bring all their friends, and they're reminded of you. It's kind of like getting someone like an old magazine subscription. Every time it shows up, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm still enjoying that present." The Graph Diamonds hallucination might still be just sitting in a jewelry case somewhere. The McLaren F1 might be wrapped in a garage somewhere. But those F1 tickets are going to keep coming up, and they're going to be on the circuit, and they're going to thank you. So pick it up. And then, of course, you have to get someone a horse. And so for the Size Lord, we recommend a thoroughbred racehorse, ideally derived from the Fusacci Pegasus line, the 2000 Kentucky Derby winner. It's one of the most expensive stallion deals ever. The bloodline was syndicated for $60 to $70 million in 2000. So just really top-tier racing bloodline, and I think that's something that they could really enjoy. And they'd love to have a horse under the Christmas tree.
It's a trophy. It's a trophy horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody should have one, at least one, and it's a conversation starter. If you're having somebody buy your property.
Let's do American Dynamist next, and then we'll move on to one of yours. So for the American Dynamist, the capital allocator who's focused on making America great again, we are focused on American products, things that speak to revitalization, reindustrialization. America, manufacturing, hard tech. And so for the American Dynamist, we recommend a M134 minigun by Dillon Aero. It's going to run you $200 to $300K. They're pretty rare on the civilian market, but it's an electrically driven 7.62 millimeter rotary machine gun. It's iconic and extremely rare. Due to NFA regulations, but you've seen it in movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger carries one.
Played it in COD.
Yeah, exactly. The minigun is iconic, and it'll look great mounted on the back wall while they're taking Zoom calls. Every defense founder will say, "Hey, this investor has a minigun. They take American dynamism seriously, and I want their check. I want them in my round."
Yeah, and it would look fantastic on a Cybertruck if your buddy buys a Cybertruck as sort of a novelty thing. To add to that novelty, having a minigun strapped to it. And maybe you work with someone like Allen Control Systems to make it fully autonomous.
That'd be fantastic. So let's move on to cars for the American Dynamist. The Cybertruck's a great one. I'm also extremely bullish on the Tesla Roadster second generation. You get them the allocation now. I think it's going to happen. It's been way delayed, but Elon is on top of the world. The stock's ripping. He knows where the regulation is going. I think he's going to get it done, and I think those will be delivered pretty soon. So that's a good one.
Come on, though, John.
Yeah.
What else? How can we not go with the Ford GT on this one?
It's a great car.
If I'm gonna take an AD capital allocator very seriously, them pulling up in I want them pulling up in something culturally significant, right? And Ford GT is not a perfect car by any means. There's a bunch of ways you could sort of poke holes in it, but it has history at Le Mans. Just the silhouette. The silhouette is.
There's a whole movie about this history. It's fantastic.
The silhouette is unbeatable. It is
a
fantastic. It feels American, but it almost feels like a cousin of Lamborghini. And if you are let's say you've got a portfolio founder that's running hot, they're doing well, you think they're going to get you a nice markup.
Yep.
Taking them to the airport in your Ford GT or picking them up is a great way to make a statement and say, hey, when you're raising your next round, make sure I get my pro rata, super pro rata, and ideally get a chance to lead that next round.
Yep.
And that's a GT is a good way to stick in that founder's head.
And they often come with not necessarily a pre-wrap, but a livery.
Yeah.
And so that livery, I think it just kind of opens up the world of customizing a little bit more. You know, the classic is the blue stripe, but you could throw a red, white, and blue livery on there and it wouldn't look tacky on a Ford GT because you're used to seeing some stripes. You're used to seeing a little bit of a design on there.
Or if Catherine Boyle's driving it, maybe a white with an orange, stripe down the center would be cool.
Be very cool. Or just throw an eagle decal right on the front, like it's an old Ford Mustang.
Yep.
That's fantastic too.
Yeah.
Let's move on to watches. We got to keep it in America. This is tough for watches. A lot of Swiss watches out there.
Dominance.
If you're going American, you're going to want to stick to RGM and get the Pennsylvania Series Tourbillon. It's going to run you $100K. Very limited annual production, but it's one of the greatest American-made watches out there. Their movement's built in-house, and it's just an amazing example of American craftsmanship. And I really do believe that if you care about American manufacturing, you can't
just put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly. Like if we start pouring money into RGM, they will catch up eventually.
Yeah.
Like the market is a weighing machine over time.
Yeah.
And so,
we've talked about this on the show a lot.
Yeah.
You can't just rely on the government to stimulate the economy.
Exactly.
It's on every single one of our listeners, every single American to stimulate the economy in a way to bet on the future that they want. Right.
Yep. And then for vacation, for the American Dynamist, what's the most American vacation you could possibly do? We mentioned it earlier. It's the Disneyland park buyout. It's going to run you a couple $1,000,000, but you get a one-night private event at Disneyland in Anaheim or Disney World in Orlando, and you get the entire theme park reserved for you and guests after hours. No lines, personalized shows, fireworks, character meets, and unlimited rides.
Second on the list here deserves an honorary mention would be heli skiing in the remote Alaskan wilderness.
Yeah, for the more athletic.
1 to 2 weeks, 100 to 200K, private helicopter, untouched powder, luxury base camps, gourmet meals, avalanche certified guides.
And you're keeping it in America.
Extreme, exotic skiing while staying American.
Exactly. I love that.
And it's just a good reminder of like, this place is ours, right?
Exactly.
It almost shouldn't be, right?
Yep.
Russia almost had a
could be Russian,
had a
could be
claim to it.
Canadian, but we have it.
Ours.
You got to go explore it.
And
it's gonna be a great
I look
story.
forward to doing our first live show in Alaska.
I've been. It's fantastic.
The Alaskan fans are crazy.
I'm extremely bullish on Alaska. I love Alaska.
They're always sending DMs and offering to send down fish and things like that. So.
Okay, so let's wrap up with the VCs for a minute and move on to the seed stage founder. Jordy, what do you got for me?
Oh man, this was hard. Seed stage founder, maybe you're pulling in 80, 100K a year. You're pretty oriented around the work, not less time on the road, more capital constrained. If you give somebody a McLaren F1, it's and they don't have the income or the net worth to sort of support it. That's kind of like a cursing them in a way, right? It might cost you a few $100,000 a year just to maintain. Properly. But we'll go down the list for a gun. I'd say, most of the seed stage founders I know, they do have Glocks. They're pretty much a stock Glock. It's a $600 gun.
Sure.
Get them, have them take that Glock down to Arley Arms and upgrade every single element of it, strip out all the internals, externals, and really sort of upgrade it. Arley is sort of like the Brabus or the AMG of firearms. And so you can turn that base Glock into something that's really significant, meaningful. They can customize the exterior, customize the grip, all that kind of thing. So that's an easy one. A few $1,000s can really turn that into a special piece for them. For watches, I would go with I'd go with a Cartier Santos. It's like this watch is something that I feel like it gets a lot of hate, but it has like this great. I love the Santos. It's got great legacy from the aviation world. It's not like a new watch, right? It's been around for decades and decades and decades.
It's not just not a new watch. It was the first watch
The first watch.
Louis Cartier.
That is right. That is
Louis
right.
Cartier was contacted by a pilot, Santos. I don't remember the full name, but he was using a pocket watch while he was flying and said it was very difficult to take the pocket watch out to measure his time. And
what if you could have it on the wrist?
What if you could have it on a wrist? And Louis Cartier made the first watch and named it after him, the Cartier Santos. Also worn by Gordon Gekko in Wall Street in beautiful gold.
Fantastic watch. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Comes in a variety of different sizes. Regardless, even if you're in the 1,000-pound club, you can still get on your wrist. And it's not going to be so much more than 2 weeks of your salary that other people would say, like, why is this guy wearing this watch, right? Yep. So not going to put him in and make him look gaudy or anything like that. For cars, this one is a very personal choice for me, but I think it's the right choice. The first sports car I ever purchased was a 997 911. I bought it for $32,000 on Bring a Trailer. Felt like I stole it, and put easily more than 10,000 miles on it in the first year that I owned it. Did not have a single issue with it. It cost me like literally under $1,000 in maintenance. Gave me millions of dollars of enjoyment. It was just like one of the best cars I've ever owned. And so this is a car that looks, that's got some legacy to it. It's timeless, and it's going to cost you less than a Model Y, right? Great choice for a seed stage founder.
And if you want an upgrade that'll hold its value a little bit better, go Targa. The Targas are really holding their value.
Yeah, because even the grindiest founders that I know, they'll still take a couple hours on Sunday to take a little drive up the coast. You want to pop the top off? Pop the top. So anyways, for vacation,
what do you do?
This one's bold. I'm going Eastern Europe.
Okay.
Great developers there.
Sure.
So if you have everybody on your team,
little work play action.
A little work play action. No, if you're a seed stage founder, you should never take a true vacation.
Sure.
Do not go off. Do not go offline.
Yep.
If you're burning out, it's because your product's not working,
and you're not doing your life's work.
It's not. You don't need a vacation to fix that. So go to Eastern Europe. Great food, wine, views, everything. And hire some new developers or hang out with some existing ones, and just avoid Western Europe.
That's great.
And horse, this one's going to be bold. So we had been recommending some eventing horses, some race horses, generally thoroughbreds. But for the seed stage founder, I'd go with a mini horse. And the reason for that is I think you could really get some yield out of it. It's not, you could sort of keep them in the second bedroom of your apartment if you needed to. But on the weekends, if you got little younger cousins or siblings or anything like that, let them go rent it out to kids' parties, and you could earn some yield on it. So the food for that mini horse might cost you a few $100 a month, but I think you could get a few $100 per party to rent out that mini horse.
Totally.
And so anyway, some potential yield there.
And you can make it the company's mascot. There's a famous story about the hedgehog at Facebook. Sean Parker wanted to go get a hedgehog.
It could be your mascot during the weeks, and on the weekends it's working.
You could probably go viral with that on X. You post, grinding with the mini horse
grinding
today.
With mini.
Just developer next to the mini horse. That's going to get engagement base from everyone.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
okay, I love it.
Marketing value and then some yield, help pay off your ramp bill at the end of the month. That brings me to my wild card gift. This is an easy one. There's no excuse not to get this for the seed stage founder in your life. Set them up, write them a nice card, but in the card, it's the phone number of your favorite ramp SDR.
I love
it. Just says, give them a call. I already told them you're going to call. They will take care of you. They'll get you set up on ramp. It's painless. Takes a few minutes, and companies on average save 5% a year. So
fantastic.
That was an easy one to add in there.
I love it. Okay, let's go back to me. I got two, and then we'll go back to you. We're going for the up and coming general partner at a venture capital firm. Probably not a liquid billionaire yet, but has probably driven maybe $1 billion in returns for the fund.
I would hope so.
And so, this is a person with taste. They need to move up in the upper echelon of class and style, and they need to let people know that they've arrived. But you're not going to be breaking the bank like you would with the decabillionaire size lord. So for Gun, we're starting with the Magnum Research gold-plated Desert Eagle 5.0.
Great AE. Great conversation starter.
So under 10K, potentially. And it's iconic. You can still carry it in a board meeting. which I think is important. There needs to be a threat of violence in board meetings. We've discussed this.
Yeah.
You need to know, oh, you think we should pull forward our sales targets? Are you willing to die for that?
Right.
Are you willing to put everything on the line for what you're saying? Or are you just saying the same thing?
Your board meeting should look like at least once a year, like an all-out brawl.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And almost having, if every board member has a firearm on them, it can kind of keep people more productive because there's this this threat of violence beyond just throwing blows.
And if you're a founder and you walk into a board meeting and in your suit you got a holster, there's a gun, and one of your board members says something, it's just like, oh, so you don't respect the Constitution? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Ask him to step down.
Yeah. So I think that's a great choice for the up-and-coming GP. For the car, we're going to want to go with the Rolls-Royce Cullinan Black Badge. Very versatile car, great for driving around, even the whole founding team.
Yep.
So you can pick them up, take them to the Rosewood, write a term sheet, show them the ropes, introduce them to Silicon Valley, and still do it in comfort. And it's not going to be loud in there, so you'll be able to have a conversation about the business.
Yeah, it's a good car too. If you do, if it's fun to drive yourself, but when your driver's around, they can drive it. You can sit in the back, and it's hard to go wrong with that.
And then if you need a sports car, which you probably do, maybe get this up and coming GP Porsche GT3 RS, or maybe a Dakar.
I would go with the Dakar.
Okay, it's going to stand out more in Sand Hill Road.
Yeah, and Northern California has always had that sort of rugged, outdoorsy element to it.
It's like a Patagonia vest as a car. Exactly.
Yeah. And so, it's the kind of thing you can drive it up to Tahoe.
Yeah, I go to Tahoe. Yeah. As soon as I pull up into the
side.
Yep.
Or you can take it hiking, go up to Tam and take a little loop.
Snow this week in Tahoe? I'm not worried.
Not
I got my
worried
Dakar.
at all. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Now for watches, there's a couple different options. Obviously, the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5726, great watch. Definitely recommend it to any up-and-coming GPs. Highly recommend gifting that. You're not going to get negative feedback on a gift like that. It's just going to be received really, really well. But if you want to mix it up, get them the Rolex Daytona 6239 Paul Newman.
Can I tell you why I like that pick, John?
Why do you like that?
So Daytona just by itself is a high production watch, right? It's coming out all the time.
Yep.
And so, you can pick up a Daytona for, let's call it 25, 30 grand.
It is at the higher end of Rolex's lineup, right?
Well, they retail for something like, I forget what their actual retail price, somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000. So the retail price is low. Mm-hmm. Market value for a basic Daytona is somewhere around $30,000. And so the reason that the Paul Newman Daytona is so great is, to the untrained eye, it's just a regular Daytona.
Exactly.
It's like, but depending on the room that you're in, you can say, no, this is a Paul Newman Daytona.
Yeah. So it's one watch for founders and it's a different watch for LPs.
Exactly.
So you're at YC Demo Day. Everyone's he's just got a Rolex on. He's just a normal.
Yeah, it's an everyday
capital
Rolex.
allocator. You go to LP Day. Everyone's like, this guy knows what's up.
Yep.
Makes a ton of sense.
You can wear that thing anywhere.
Now let's go to vacations. What are we getting for the up and coming GP, the rising star and venture? I say we go to Antarctica and we take a luxury icebreaker adventure.
That is something that will be good on the gram.
Yep.
That will be something that'll be good in the boardroom.
Yep.
When you're having to Zoom call into a board meeting,
Starlink.
You can say, yeah, sorry guys, if there's any noise in the background,
it's the ice
breaking from my luxury ice breaking adventure boat.
A little controversial. I don't know if people are cool with breaking ice these days. Isn't that like kind of anti-environmentalist?
Is it? I don't know.
It might be edgy.
I think it'll
certainly
reform.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, and just the noise. It's almost like a symphony of ice.
Yep.
We're big fans of the symphony in general.
And then if the GP in your life doesn't like the cold, we recommend switching it up, going to Egypt and doing a private archaeological dig.
Yep.
You get some exclusive permits to historical sites. You work along the Egyptologists, maybe take a private Nile river boat, luxury desert camp, curated museum visits, a week or two in Egypt. It's great. And it's not going to break the bank. It's only
and for the GPs, like they're probably, they've chosen the venture path because they're degenerate gamblers. Maybe they don't do it in Vegas or sports betting, but venture in many ways is gambling. And so the great thing about an archaeological dig is that you might dig up something worth well beyond what you paid to go on the trip. So you could almost position it as an investment, right?
And then for horse, it's a little bit trickier. You could go with a Lusitano. You could do something dressage, which is a little bit outside of the norm. You could also just go with thoroughbred, maybe a stallion prospect, maybe some just mediocre stud fees. Don't break the bank, something that they can still enjoy at the track every once in a while, but it doesn't become their whole life.
I wouldn't be that mad at going the Arabian route either, depending on where your LP base is. That might be more of that just might be more aligned with where you're going to want to take that horse.
Yeah, it also depends on what their lifestyle's like. Maybe they're building a ranch. Maybe you want to get a quarter horse, something like that. There are plenty of great options, but don't miss out on getting them a horse because you don't want to be caught.
A horse, much like getting them, year-round tickets, boxes to F1. It's something that they're going to be with for years, years and years, and have many memos with. So
So I have one more, and then we'll finish out with yours. We have for the crypto millionaire, for the crypto centi, for someone who's done very well in crypto. What do you want to get them? It's going to be a little bit wilder. They're the absolute most risk on.
We're going off chain with this one.
Yeah,
folks.
We're going off chain. So for the gun, I'm going Chetak M200 intervention. It's the 406 caliber sniper rifle, anti-material. You can take down an SUV or a Toyota Hilux with it.
Wow.
It is over the top. It's going to look great on the Instagram, great on TikTok. It's going to be iconic. A lot of these folks are anonymous, so you're just going to see some hands in the photo, but you're going to know when you see this gun that they mean business.
That's a statement.
It's a statement piece for sure. And then in terms of cars, with crypto, it's super important to stay in the Lambo ecosystem, obviously. But Huracan played out, and then we don't really know how the new Lamborghini lineup is going to age. And they also haven't released the limited editions yet. So instead of going upmarket, I say go back, get the Aventador SVJ, or maybe even go back further, Countach.
Yeah, the SVJ is such a fantastic car. I do know one of Solana's earliest investors is a proud owner of an SVJ. He doesn't post about it online. I wish he did. And they're just not making any more of those. It's one of the last purebred Lamborghini V12s. And it doesn't have any hybrid junk in it. It's just a pure play, naturally aspirated V12.
And so in the last cycle, every crypto bro had a wrapped Huracan. This one is going to be the Temerario.
Yep.
But if you go back, get the Aventador SVJ, people still know this guy made his money in crypto because it's Lambo. That's what the brand's known for now. Yep. But this guy made money even earlier. Stands out. Yeah. So I like that. And the Countach, it's a little difficult to drive. So stick with the stick with the Aventador SVJ.
Car.
Keep it simple, folks. And then for watch, of course, we're going Richard Mille, the RM0056 Sapphire Tourbillon.
A racing machine on the wrist.
It's a $2 million watch, but it has a fully transparent sapphire case housing complex tourbillon movement, avant-garde materials and design. Can't go wrong. I mean, it's so flashy, but it's exactly what you need if you made your money in crypto. You're going to have NFTs. They're going to be over the top. You need something on your wrist that you can display. The RM.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say with all these choices is do your best to try to buy the asset on chain.
Yes,
and then,
yes, definitely.
You can still take custody of it, but it'll mean a lot to that person who's made their livelihood in crypto that you went the extra mile for it to be a real world asset. You bought it on chain.
Yep.
It's a really way to say, crypto's real.
Yep.
and it's very valuable beyond just speculation.
Exactly.
I used it to buy this gift for you.
Exactly. And then for vacation for the crypto Chad, we go to the Caribbean Super Yacht Regatta. You charter a cutting edge super yacht and you race alongside famous regattas, personal sailing coaches, private island stops, lavish onboard entertainment. What could be more crypto than getting offshore with your money?
There we go.
And for horse, this is going to be a wild pick. I say you go draft horse.
Whoa.
Clydesdale, bit of a meme. Bit of a meme horse.
Everyone but it could be if you were launching like a new L2, you could make it the mascot.
Exactly. It's big. It's robust. It's from the Budweiser commercial. It's not actually an American horse. It's Scottish. It's hilarious. Anyone who is big say, "Oh, you need a Clydesdale." Complete myth.
Yeah.
Unless you're 5,000 pounds, you can ride a normal horse. But the Clydesdale stands out. So that's my recommendation for the crypto bro.
Great, Rex. And
Let's
look,
finish
we
it
get
out.
to end with probably our favorite category. So the last category is technology journalists. And how do you shop for somebody like this?
It's tough.
They are opinionated.
Yep.
They're highly online. They know what they want in life and they're going for it, right?
Yeah.
And
they usually come from fabulous wealth.
They come from fabulous wealth. So it's like, how do you get them something that they don't already have? But anyway, so we're going to try to keep it sort of reasonable. Our goal with these gifts are things that they would buy for themselves, as well, right? So it's sort of staying in line. You want to get something that maybe they had their eye on or would have had their eye on. So starting at the top for gun, I'm going to go with a little bit, this might be a controversial decision, but I'm going to go for a taser off of Amazon Prime. So you can go, if you don't know this, you can go buy a taser on Amazon. And the reason I go with taser is a lot of journalists historically.
Taylor?
Taylor? Is that a Freudian?
Yeah, that's Freudian. Taser Lorenz.
Taser Lorenz.
She tases me for talking too much shit on here.
But yeah, journalists have at least generally been sort of against the Second Amendment, and so you don't want to get them a regular gun and have them get offended by that. So I'd go with a taser. They can daily drive it. They can bring it in any situation they want. They can keep it in their purse, backpack, briefcase, just right in their belt. But very versatile and gets the job done in a pinch situation. For watch, I'm going to go with, this is the only time I'm going to ever recommend somebody get an Apple Watch, but I'm going to recommend an Apple Watch with an Hermes leather strap. And the reason for this is the Apple Watch is great. These people are hyper online. They're getting scoops. They're getting tips. They need that on-wrist notification. And but because journalists so often come from fabulous wealth, they're going to want to dress it up a little bit and get an Hermes leather band. So I think that's a great option for a journalist. For a car, I would, for the journalists in my life, I would prepay a Maserati lease for them. Again, people grow up around money, going to private schools, being driven around by private drivers and expensive cars, and so. A Maserati is a luxury vehicle, but it's somewhat accessible. It's you could probably get a 1-year Maserati lease for them for like $25,000 or something.
Are you talking like Quattroporte? Something like that?
Yeah, honestly, the whole range. It's hard to lease a Maserati for more than $1,000 a month. And so you're not really going to go wrong with something like that. And it still gives, the car's going to break down dramatically over that year, but they still get the experience of feeling like they're in a fine Italian, sports car, elevated sports car. Vacation, this isn't going to surprise anybody. Get them a round trip tickets to Idaho. Okay. So they can just kind of poke around Sun Valley and just kind of sit around the edges and kind of observe and try to pick up some scoops and tips on the fly. And get them business class seats, right? Yeah. Like it's for them. They're used to flying just regular old economy, a business class ticket to Idaho.
Unless they're with their family, of course.
Unless they're with their family, in that case, they're certainly not flying commercial. And then what
you could pair with that while they're going to Sun Valley, you get them a Canon 5D, and 70 to 200 lens, so they can take some.
They're going to need a lot of zoom. They're going to need a lot of zoom. So yeah, telephoto
lens.
Like big. The lens should be like at least
yeah,
big.
exactly.
And that's another reason to go business class, because they should have the ability
Plenty
to check that
to
without
check that.
an extra charge.
Exactly.
If you're getting somebody a gift, you don't want them to have to spend a bunch of money out of pocket to experience it.
Yeah.
So the horse, again, this is not going to be surprising. A lot of technology journalists had a prior life as horse girls, and so
well, when you come from money, I mean, everyone in the family is into equestrian.
Yeah, and when you come from that level of wealth, it's just sort of a given. But I'm gonna go with an eventing. All right, we're gonna need to take a break. No, when you come from that sort of background, I'd go with a top level eventing Hanoverian. It's $75 up to $200,000 plus horse. It's exceptionally versatile across dressage, show jumping, and cross country. And the top bloodlines in this category are dominating all the international eventing podiums.
And they can kind of take it wherever they want. They can do dressage, they can do jumping. It kind of it's an open book for them.
It's versatile.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And then lastly, if said technology journalist is not already working at the Information or Newcomer, I would get them subscriptions to both, so that when Newcomer and the Information get scoops, they can just quickly repurpose them and get them out, so that they can stay get kind of the
a gift for their career.
Yeah. This is a way to help them
them
level up and stay on top of the stories that matter. So
makes sense.
Wow, we did it.
Yep. The last wild card that I would throw in before we close out is maybe you're strapped for cash. Maybe you're not going material goods. If you are shopping for anyone on this list, just get them a guy. Everyone has a guy for real estate, guy for lawyer, guy for Antichrist. Just take your guy, give it to your friend. Just be like, here's my guy. Introduce them. Put him in a group chat. Let him run wild.
Yep.
It's great. Well, we got to move on to some personnel news, because we got some breaking news from the heart of America's industrial revival. NAIA, the New American Industrial Alliance, has officially launched. This isn't just an announcement, it's a call to action. NAIA is bringing together founders, investors, and policymakers to restore America's industrial might and reestablish our nation as a global powerhouse. Jordy, what you got for me?
Here's the deal, John. For decades, American industry has been on the ropes. Jobs shipped overseas, resources untapped, and bad policies stifling innovation. But the NAIA is flipping the script. They're proving that deindustrialization was a choice and that reindustrialization can be too. But NAIA is flipping the script, proving that deindustrialization was a choice and reindustrialization can be too.
Well, it all started back in June with the inaugural Re-industrialize Summit in Detroit, brought together hundreds of builders, investors, and government officials. That summit wasn't just a meeting, it was a movement, a rallying cry for American greatness. And today, that movement became a force with the launch of NAIA.
NAIA is here to be the voice, visionary, and vanguard of America's industrial resurgence. What does that mean, John? Cutting red tape, incentivizing investment in critical industries, protecting American workers, and streamlining government contracting. Simply put, NAIA is doing what it takes to put American builders back to work and innovation back on the map.
And this alliance is already stacked with heavy hitters. Members include Palantir, 8VC, Y Combinator, Hadrian, Allen Control Systems, and many more. It's a roster packed with companies and investors who are betting big on America's future.
Austin Bishop, the driving force behind NAIA, summed it up perfectly. He said, John, it's time to build in America. It's time to reindustrialize.
So what's next? Well, you can go follow NAIA on X and visit their website at newindustrials.org. Whether you're a builder, an investor, or just someone who believes in the power of American industry, this is your chance to join the movement.
NAIA isn't just about restoring what we've lost. It's about building what comes next. The future of American industry starts now. Let's get to work, John.
Very exciting. Stay tuned. I love those guys. I did not get a chance to go to the Re-industrialize Summit.
Same.
I was busy, but I think I'm going to the next one. I don't think they've announced it yet, but
we'll
it was a huge hit, and I was talking to one of the organizers when I was in DC, and it seems like it's going to be.
I think we need to give. I think we need to give a talk about the posters driving reindustrialization.
I like
right?
that.
And just give a full market map of what's going on.
I mean, I do think I do think we could crush there in a sense that just like there's going to be a lot of kind of default people talking their book, like what's investing like in this sector, what's the government strategy, what's the founding strategy, but then we cut across all that, which is some wild.
I mean, posting matters a lot.
It does.
Like, it doesn't.
Yeah, the memes are powerful.
Every meme has the potential to convert somebody that would have gone and worked at,
especially in college. Like there are so many new grads who are super into the reindustrialization thing, specifically because they've seen the Gundo phenomenon and the posting, and it really is valuable.
Yeah, I couldn't make it this last time. My second child decided to come literally like within a week. We were both in the same boat. But we'll be there next year, and very excited for Aaron and Austin and the whole team over there.
Yeah, they're great. Well, congrats to them. But we have more breaking news. Breaking news in the world of AI, folks. Devon has officially entered general availability. That's right. Cognition Labs has just announced that their cutting-edge AI software engineer is now available to all engineering teams, starting at just $500 a month. No seat limits, Slack integration, IDE extensions, and even API access. Devon's stepping onto the big stage, and it's already making waves.
Let's break it down, John. Devon is more than just an AI. It's your newest team member. This tool isn't just helping engineers write code. It's debugging, building, deploying apps, and even knocking out small but pesky tasks like refactoring and documentation. Think of Devon as your all-star utility player ready to step in wherever you need it most.
So where does Devon really shine? Teams are already using it for everything from fixing front-end bugs to drafting first-pass pull requests. And here's the kicker. Devon works best when you give it tasks you know how to do yourself. Share detailed requirements and invest in coaching it along the way. It's not just automation, it's collaboration.
The numbers don't lie, John. Devon has already proven its mettle, completing real-world coding jobs, contributing to open-source repositories, and even passing practical engineering interviews at top AI companies. From refactoring code bases to handling integrations, Devon is stepping up where humans might hesitate.
Cognition Labs has made sure Devon integrates seamlessly with your workflow. Whether you're tagging Devon in Slack to squash bugs in real time or using its IDE extension to tackle bigger refactors, Devon's designed to save you time and keep your team focused on the big picture.
We can't forget about the enterprise potential, John. Devon is already helping engineering teams at scale with custom solutions available through Cognition Labs' sales team. You know I like talking to sales teams, John. I do believe it's a cure to male loneliness.
I love it. So what's the verdict? Devon isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At $500 a month, it's a small price to pay for a massive boost in efficiency and productivity. Engineering teams, it's time to draft Devon to your lineup. Head to app.devon.ai and start building with the AI engineer of tomorrow today. I love Devon. Did you know that Devon is now the #1 committer of code at Ramp?
Crazy.
Amazing.
If you know that and you're not bullish on Devon, what are you doing?
Yeah. Fantastic team.
Spun out of Ramp.
Yeah, spun out. Neil was there. I think there's a bunch of other co-founders too, but I would certainly just say like a brainchild of
spiritually,
like Ramp folks.
Because
but fantastic team, absolutely stacked with IMO gold medalists. They have an insane amount of like math and just next level engineering talent. It's a fantastic team, and they've executed really well. And the interesting thing is that they've really focused. Have you seen the actual UI?
Yeah.
It's like it's really, really fascinating how they've built this. They've focused on the user experience so much, and I don't think they've gotten bogged down.
I love how the product can work with itself.
Yeah.
So
totally.
and basically you can put two Devons together and they just are like working in tandem.
And that's kind of what happens when you just ask ChatGPT to reason through something. It's kind of talking to itself internally. That's what the O1 model is. But they really haven't gotten bogged down with like, we need to train some custom model from scratch. It's going to build this data center. They've just been like, let's use all the best tools in the box, but then make this very, very specific for this problem.
Yeah.
And it's just had, immense impact, especially on like the grunt work tasks. I heard this interesting story about Scott was telling me that there are now some, I believe, ramp SDRs that can, if there's a problem, they can, while they're on the phone with you, they're non-technical guys, they can at Devon, hey, this customer's having this problem. I think the code needs to be changed a little bit. Like, can you go in and fix this? And while they're on the call, they're solving it. It's like amazing.
That's crazy.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's always been cool to me because the workflow that they basically built is the same workflow that people have with junior engineers, where they have to very, very clearly define what they're trying to do. Tell them to go do it. They go attempt to do it. Maybe they hit a wall and you explain, oh, you do it this way. And then they work around it, and then they eventually get to a PR that can then actually be shipped.
Yeah,
So.
I was talking to Scott about this. Like when Devon launched, there was like a lot of like just the reaction was so emotional. There was a lot of fear about like, this is going to put all engineers out of jobs. Obviously that's not true. It's very collaborative, and really it's just, you get to do more and more, higher leverage work. But it's particularly interesting to me that kind of like the aspirational vision for Devon and like what the world looks like post Devon mirrors Scott's life very closely, in the sense that like, if you go back to that very early video of him doing those insane math in his head, it's like he was essentially just a calculator. Like he was like an algorithm, right? And now he's an ideas guy. He's a CEO. He's operating a much higher abstraction layer. And I think that's what the customer of Devon should feel. They should feel empowered, that I'm not being replaced, I'm being amplified, and I have better tools. And that's very, very exciting.
I'm excited to see how a lot of people scoffed at their varying valuations, but opening up access to this, just knowing already that it's so actively contributing to ramp. If it's the number one committer, that means that at the very least, it's worth probably 500 to 600K a year, right? In the very low estimate. And so they're starting out, the product seems to be pretty accessible. It's $500 a month. But I can easily imagine a future where people are, their bigger customers are spending $1 million a year on Devon.
I mean, it'll also be consumption based, like a Datadog or like an AWS.
And the other stuff that's wild is it just opens up. It's like it's an engineering tool that allows you to tackle projects that historically were just not at all even really on the roadmap of like, hey, we need to like completely migrate this system over here, and that's going to take a year. And now, we could actually do this in a month and a half with Devon and a much smaller team. Let's tackle that. So it's not just replacing, or empowering team members. It's allowing you to tackle tasks that otherwise were not really cost efficient or that effective.
Yeah, you're starting to see posts about this where it's like the age of tech debt is over. Like there's no return on squashing tech debt because because the AI will solve it in the future. And moving on, we got a size gong story for you folks. Breaking news, an absolute blockbuster in the world of AI and language learning. Speak, the AI-driven language tutor app, has just closed a massive $78 million Series C round led by Excel, pushing its valuation to a jaw-dropping $1 billion. That's right, unicorn status for a company that's shaking up the game in ways we haven't seen before.
Let's set the stage, John. Speak isn't just your average language app. No games, no gimmicks. This is about real deal fluency. Using cutting-edge AI, Speak gives users a conversational partner that adapts to their unique accent, delivering real-time feedback that's changing how people learn. It's not just about picking up vocab, it's about building authentic speaking abilities, and that's a game changer.
And let's talk about this funding round. Excel leads the charge with heavy hitters like OpenAI's startup fund, Coastal Ventures, and Y Combinator all jumping back in. That's $162 million raised to date.
Boom.
Proof positive that Speak isn't just talking the talk, it's walking the walk. Excel's Ben Quazzo, now joining the board, calls it one of the few consumer AI companies actually turning promise into revenue. Big words, but the numbers back it up. 8 figures of revenue and closing in on profitability.
What's next for Speak? Expansion, expansion, expansion. Southeast Asia, Europe, the US. Speak's coming for all the markets, and by the end of next year, it's aiming to support the world's most popular languages. And let's not forget their growing enterprise side. 8 of the top 10 largest employers in Korea are already on board with Speak for Business, teaching workforces English and boosting global reach.
Okay, Jordy, the co-founders, Connor and Andrew, they're on a mission to build a generational company. And judging by the accolades, like winning the Google Play App of the Year in APAC, they're off to a red hot start. Zwick even teased 2025 as 10x crazier with new features and worldwide launches.
That's wild, John. Bottom line, this isn't just a win for Speak, it's a moment for AI innovation in the consumer space. 78 million says Speak just isn't part of the conversation, it's leading it. Stay tuned because this story is far from over. Let's hear it from the size gong.
You love to hear it.
Go download Speak in the App Store today.
It's fantastic. I wasn't super aware of Speak, but I did see Delian posting about it because apparently he lived with them. Did you see this? I think he lived with these guys.
A handful of people.
And he's like, now they're
one of the
it's awesome.
Open Door, I think was it.
Okay.
Was it, I think he was saying he lived with them as
Yeah,
well.
That's great.
So I always loved.
For a long time.
When I saw the round, I hadn't heard of the company either, and I was seeing it like, oh, look at this new like pre-launch AI consumer app that suddenly is worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot more sense in the context of like they've been around for 8-ish years or something like that, grinding, had a thesis on AI and language learning for a long time. And so that's just another example of a lot of the companies that are benefiting the most from AI today were started a long time ago before language models were even top of mind for anyone in tech.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's like a lot of people that would be like, oh, well, you could just learn language by talking to ChatGPT. But there's something about the UI that matters. And there's something about, yes, the power users will figure out that ChatGPT can do that. But for a lot of other people, having a track, a memory, a plan that's customized to you. It's just like Devon, it's like you could use the one size fits all model, but having a more unique resource, unique plan makes a ton of sense.
And the workflow matters a lot. Yeah.
For sure. Well, let's move on to the DMs. We don't have that many questions, so keep sending them in. But Eliano over at Palantir asks, did Coogan deliver your gift for me? And I didn't. I forgot it in my car, but I brought it today. Palantir brought us a bunch of merch. We got some paddle tennis paddles back there, which I love. They look great on the set. And we have some hats and shirts from Palantir. So thank you to Palantir. We got a beautiful hat. Do you want the Army or the Navy hat? I got you the Army hat. I like the Navy
like
one.
Army. I like
Army?
visiting the desert. So
Throw these on.
It's functional.
Yeah, these are great. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Good.
Locked in. I feel like a $100 billion company right now.
170, I think.
170.
I think I don't know. It's a lot. So yeah, we got to rock these shirts. I don't know where the size
Thank
is.
you, Eliana.
I know you're the best.
We're looking
merch
good.
Lord.
We're going to be playing good.
They are crushing it on the merch side. They have. You showed me the stats.
Companies are having a merch off.
Yeah.
Wait, so that for revenue wise, their merch sales.
Yeah. Like he like pitched Palantir and was like, I just want to bring the merch store back. Can we just do something? We have so many fans, so many like day traders and like retail investors who are in the stock and like the company, like Carp. Like, let's get them some stock.
Yeah.
And every time they put stuff up, it just goes viral on X and Reddit, and it's big.
That's great.
It's great. I highly recommend having merch. And the thing that I like about their merch is like, we talk a lot of trash about what is that, racquetball or
pickleball?
Pickleball. But that they didn't just pick pickleball randomly. Palantir actually works with the company that makes those, Selkirk. And
That's
so
great.
they
That's
did
cool.
like this collab. And of course the Army Navy hat makes a ton of sense because they're big in the Army Navy game, which I believe is happening this week in DC, the football game. And so we're very thankful to Palantir, very thankful to Eliano. I did a workout with him in DC. It was great. It was like visiting a far off culture and understanding how another man lifts. It was great. He's jacked.
Yeah, and he's very against kipping pull-ups, which
extremely.
Which
I actually did pull-ups with him. He's very good at them. Strict pull-ups. I'm not.
Got to be strict about it.
Had to learn. Got to work on those. It's hard when you're tall. But let's move on to the timeline. We have
John 6'8", by the way.
Massive stack of posts to go through. So let's start with Wasteland Capital, who says, absolutely insane amount of work in this world is going to format PowerPoints.
Okay, and I would argue that it's very, very important work. Yeah. And, we talked about this on the show last time.
It's communication.
I think it was Don Valentine talks about how capital follows stories, right? And so deck is a form of storytelling. In fact, I think it's the highest form of storytelling there is, right? Because condensing a very complex idea or business into 20 slides is not easy. I've spent countless nights in Figma over the last year, just like helping my portfolio companies make decks, making decks now for TB. But decks, like you got to have, if you're a company planning to raise any amount of money or sell any products at all, which every company is, you got to get good at this game. You got to have somebody on your team that's truly cracked at it.
And I mean, the amount of work that's going into just formatting them will decrease with AI and better tools.
But I still think there's something. I've tried a lot of the different AI decks, and there's nothing like the dynamic of working with a fantastic deck designer, Devon, who we work with. Just like that dynamic. That's like saying like, oh, you know, if you're driving rally car, it's like saying like, oh, I don't want my co-pilot. I'll just use an AI. It's like you want your guy, your co-pilot, making the deck with you, and you can just make so much more engaging, interesting materials.
The way I'm thinking of AI plugging in is like much better spell check, extra like just rewrite. This line is just a little bit too big to fit on one line, so it's hanging on to two lines. What if you just switch this word? It would fit better. Like like you accidentally indented this an extra couple pixels. Just taking it to the pixel perfect level. Even just if you have, a whole bunch of photos, being able to integrate those, pull those really easily, just better UI workflows, all that stuff should get much easier. Let's go to Coastal Country Club. They say, received a wedding invite that specifically said on the dress code line, no Apple Watches, please. Wow, 200K likes.
I'm really happy to see how much engagement.
Incredible.
Because I think we're entering a new era. And
the Apple Watch is functional, but it's not a dress watch.
It's not a dress watch. It has no business in the aisles of a wedding.
Yeah, it's going to be beeping and like taking phone calls and showing like your latest tweets.
Yeah, you're going to miss some incredible moment because
you're checking
somebody,
timeline.
Your Hinge notifications are popping up on your watch. But anyways, we're happy to see that that the movement against Apple Watches.
One thing that I'm really disappointed about with the Apple Watch is that, do you remember when they first launched it? There was the Apple Watch Edition, solid gold, 10K.
I don't.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
So they launched them at like a couple $100. Maybe the most expensive one was like 1,000, but then there was one that was 10K, and they were like,
we're going to go like an unwrapped version of that.
Yeah. You can definitely buy them, probably on eBay. But it was they understood that watches have this luxury value, but the problem is that the software and the hardware is getting so much better that you have to refresh your Apple Watch every year or every few years.
Apple loves that.
So then it was like, okay, I have this gold thing. Whereas if you buy a gold Rolex or a gold Cartier Santos, like it's going to have its same value. It's going to do the job just as well, telling the time 20 years, 50 years from now. It's still going to work. Sure, there might not be as much like water resistance. The tech does get better in these Swiss watches. But Apple kind of missed that, but they need to bring back the Veblen goods. Like Apple should have a product that's, up there and just in pure Veblen status, not just based on the RAM.
Yeah.
Let's go to Lulu. She says, lots of founders wondering the best day to schedule a launch. There's basically no clear day between now and the holidays. It's wall to wall with announcements, not even counting news curveballs like today. Just pick a day and go for it. Rely on creativity to break through. This is funny because I didn't even see this because this was the day that they found the CEO shooter and the timeline was flooded with that. And it was impossible to break through. And I had another friend who his launch like kind of leaked. And I was like, well, like no one found out about it because no one saw that article at all because it was the busiest news day. So you do kind of need to avoid like the bombshell days, like, maybe delay your launch a day if you notice that something crazy is happening on the timeline. But in general, done is better than perfect. Get it out. And then the beauty of launching and getting drowned out is that if by definition, if your post doesn't go viral and doesn't get seen by everyone, well, no one saw it. So you can just post it again and people will see it for the first time. Everyone thinks, oh, this post only got 1,000 views. Everyone knows I'm bad at posting or something. It's like, no one saw that by definition. So you can just post again. Yeah. And so I don't know.
Yeah,
what did you take away from this?
I mean, basically every company that has news that they want to deliver is looking at doing it in the next week after, I don't know, I guess you kind of have the rest of next week, but yeah, just expect there to be competition, but like good launches don't happen by accident. Even the companies that have like exciting news that people are excited to hear about, they're still making sure that they get 20 of their investors to share it on the launch day, right? You need to like punch through the noise and make sure you're not just leaving it up to chance and like betting that it might go viral or something.
And even asking like the second order, like when the Cognition Devon GA launch happened, I got multiple texts from people who were closer to the company saying, hey, here's the tweet, like, can you amplify it? So
that's why even a company of Devon's size and with that much hype is not leaving their launch to fate. They're not just oh, I hope the algorithm's on our side today. It's
and
like
you see it just immediately. It's like, 300 retweets. It's like, that doesn't happen by accident. Like clearly people were lined up ready to go, which is great. Jack Prescott says, carp mogging with the Cartiers. And he tags us. Thank you for tagging us. If you see something like this, a dripped out technology brother, tag us.
Post it, tag us.
We'd love to see it. Great pick. Carp is a style icon in so many ways.
He really is the OG dripped out technology
We saw him
brother.
wearing a fantastic Patek Philippe Nautilus that we clocked and put on the timeline. We got in front of him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'd like to see more. This guy's running, we don't know what it is today, $100 to $200 billion public company. We'd like to see more paparazzi following him around, doing like fit pick analysis. I'd want to see what wrist checks. Let's see the whole thing. But great pair of sunglasses, and
it's great.
Yeah,
I
got to go to promoted post. We got a promoted post from Kushi. We wanted to promote this today because she says $100 million early stage fund in SF is looking for a new associate. DM me if interested. So we just wanted to put this out there for our listeners. If you are looking to join an early stage fund, there's one in SF. These types of opportunities don't pop up too often because oftentimes these smaller funds just don't have that many people. So if you're interested, go send her a note and she will connect you.
Let's go to Packy McCormick. He says anti-capitalist and then throws down about 1 million red flag emojis.
Great post.
Great post. It is very cringe to be an anti-capitalist. Obviously, capitalism is incredible, but also just weird to frame yourself in the negative. Like, just say what you want the world to look like. I'm
just against the system.
Exactly. It's like
lame.
Pick a different ideology and then just be that instead of just being like, I'm mad about the current system.
Yeah, it's hard to take anybody that's purely anti-capitalist seriously unless you're living in the wilderness, in the woods, not benefiting from any aspect of modernity or our capitalist system. But if you're eating your little oink oink grain bowl from Sweet Green and you're saying that you're an anti-capitalist, like I'm not going to take you seriously. Sweet Green raised like $500 to $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, we need a new term. We have the champagne socialist. We have the limousine liberal. We need something, the aristocratic anti-capitalist. We need a term for the anti-capitalist that defangs them because they actually benefit immensely from capitalism.
The Luigi,
exactly.
Whose parents were in healthcare or something like that.
That story is so wild.
Yeah.
I'm holding my breath to understand it all, but we'll see. Sean Frank says, Meta doesn't acquire, it copies. We have all benefited from the Meta copy machine. Snap is a threat, we get stories. TikTok taking off, we get reels. X looks viable, you get threads. ChatGPT, AI search bar. All this does is create new ad space for us. The greatest blessings in this industry start as a threat to Meta. Written by me in our free newsletter. Interesting.
Yeah, Mark has, in many ways, he's such an interesting entrepreneur because the first product wasn't necessarily, allegedly, like wasn't really his idea, right? Like he was sort of approached to build this thing because he was like the tech guy.
Yep.
And then since then, like many of their most popular products were copycats of other products that were succeeding. Yet simultaneously, if you look at the Red Book, he has had this sort of like decades long vision for his company that only a generational ideas guy could actually have,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
he's
totally.
been like right over and over and over about all these different theses. So interesting to be like the copycat founder
Yep.
who clearly is just better at executing and more of a visionary than the people that originally had the ideas.
Yep. And I like Sean's take here because he's really identifying the core meta strength, which is the ad platform, and how great their ad inventory and matching algorithm is. Is that there are plenty of other platforms, but none of them have the ability to actually drive real ROI.
We don't know if we'd even be using Instagram today if Meta hadn't bought it,
it's
right? It
really,
could have been
really hard to build that liquidity.
Yeah, you could have easily imagined Yahoo buying Instagram and ads never really working and the product, like part of the reason. Yeah, I mean,
and then you just get it out of the box. Like they launch a new product and it's just like, cool, that's more ad inventory for Ridge, Sean's company. And they know on day one it's going to work reliably, and it's not going to be this whole like, oh, experimental budget. Let's do some brand advertising.
Yeah, let's throw 20 grand a month at it.
Exactly. It's like
you can throw
any amount at it, and you're going to get the dashboard, and it's going to be accurate.
Yeah, and
that's just really hard to build internally, and that's why you see like even Netflix, like when they launch, it's like all this craziness around their ad platform. Let's go to Ole Lehman. He says, this is hilarious. He says, day of a European in 2025. Wakes up, likes a meme on X, gets arrested, tries to use AI, blocked, drinks water, bottle cap gets stuck, opens browser, 48 cookies, wants to watch a workout on YT, blocked, buys coffee, pays 50 cents extra for the cup, clicks to buy a product, no EU shipping, starts a website, gets fined for GDPR, orders meat, gets shamed for destroying the planet, tries to start a company, gets sued, repeat.
Mogged, self-mogged.
What's crazy about this is like you hear about all of these things individually. No one's ever put it all together like this in such a way that's so embarrassing and so crazy. It really captures the zeitgeist.
Why there's no $100 billion company in Europe that was started in the last like 50 years or something like that.
Bad.
Not good.
Crazy. Beck Shaw says, days like this on Twitter feel like a bird got into the classroom. 200K likes. Yeah,
200,000.
I mean, everyone was seeing the exact same timeline. It was crazy. It was just like memes, jokes, fights, conspiracy theories, news reports, everything about the shooter. What a crazy story. Makes sense.
It's interesting how we didn't historically process these sort of wild events through humor so intensely, so right away. It's like when historically like significant assassinations, there wasn't like people like billions of views on memes in the first like 48 hours. So it's interesting how like all of humanity now processes these sort of like crazy events through.
Yeah, like I want to say like 20 or 30 years ago, maybe not, maybe even 15 years ago, there'd be a news story and then you'd have to wait like a week and South Park would come out with an episode making fun of it. And that was, or maybe you'd get the Daily Show the night of making fun of the news a little bit, but it was
but they weren't going to make fun of something that was super dark.
No.
Whereas now people will take a deeply dark, sad topic and immediately start making jokes about it. Like even I saw today, there was like somebody filming Luigi coming out of like some type of, I don't know where he was going.
Thing,
and somebody was yelling like,
it's
Mario.
Yeah.
Like just like that. Maybe,
in real life too.
Yeah,
That's
in
off
real
the
life,
timeline,
but clearly like done almost for the internet.
Yeah. And it does feel like it's feeding back into the traditional media. Like SNL had a segment on their news show. I forget what it's called. Whatever their news segment is, and they did make some jokes about the shooting, which was interesting because it is really, really dark story, but they still had to cover it in some way. Let's move on to Amjad Masad over at Replit. He says, "Whoa," and he's quoting a post about Google's Willow quantum computer, and he says it lends credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes, in line with the idea that we live in a multiverse, a prediction first made by David Deutsch. 7,000 likes. Fascinating. Did you follow the quantum
so this was
news?
The craziest part about this is that was Google putting out.
Yeah, it's like Google's in their official press release. They're like, we have discovered that we live in a multiverse.
By the way,
in our press release.
Yeah.
Now sign up for cloud computing.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see what Google's like rollout with this product, who gets access. Is it just Google that's going to get access to it for the first 10 years? Are they going to make it widely available? It seems almost dangerous to make it widely available. Like there was a lot of, I think, like Bitcoin
speculation,
like,
will it crack?
Yeah, Bitcoin like crashed seemingly on that news, like a few percentage points. Maybe it was unrelated. But yeah, it's interesting to see, okay, we've created this like, this ultra powerful chip now. Who gets access to it?
Willow performed a computation in under 5 minutes that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years. This mind-boggling number exceeds known timescales in physics and vastly exceeds the age of the universe. Fascinating.
Imagine being the team running that test, and you start the test, and you're like, oh, this could fail. It could take like a few minutes, or it could take 10 septillion years.
Imagine running B2B software on a quantum computer. Imagine running RAMP on a B2B on a quantum computer.
Heavenly.
That's the way to do it. I love it. Will Manitis posts a screenshot and highlights this quote: "There's always something happening in the world that creates an opportunity to try and fix a business and build a business," Mr. Rainwater told the Dallas Morning News in 1994. It was one of the few interviews he gave. Speaking on CNBC, Mr. Bonderman recounted Mr. Rainwater's investing philosophy. If you couldn't pencil it out on the back of an envelope, it wasn't worth doing.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah, the best business ideas for the next 10 years are not always the most complicated, and oftentimes you can take a lot of inspiration from the past. If you literally just read old business biographies and you learn about some guy who cornered some strange market and levered it into building a massive, public company, like many of those same types of opportunities are available today. And there's the classic trap for people that want to start companies, or people that think they need some ultra sophisticated, complicated idea that needs like 10 pages to explain. And it's like, no, having something super, super like Cognition. It's just an AI software engineer that you can collaborate with. It's not like, it's very complicated under the hood, but the core idea you can write on a single.
And the value equation. Just like, you pay money, it does things for you. It's very, very simple. And that's the case for so many of the great businesses. Start as very simple ideas. Let's go to Sam Altman. Sam says, "A few months ago, Robinhood sent me a gold credit card with extremely high quality details. I thought it was a ridiculous marketing stunt at the time, but now it's an example I give when talking about great design." I love that.
So does this have to do with their acquisition? They acquired X, didn't they acquire X? X card, or
no, I don't know about that.
Called.
I thought it was just for like their biggest spenders on their credit card. But great marketing,
I know, but I'm pretty sure they acquired like a big. They acquired Robin. I need Perplexity.
I wonder how much this costs though, because with the really nice cards, my fear would always be if you lose it, it has a lot of value. It's got to be really expensive.
I think
to
it's
replace.
$1,200 or something like that.
Okay, maybe they charge you if you lose it or something, because.
Yeah, so the Robinhood Gold Card is a credit card that was formerly known as the X1 card, which was a company that Robinhood acquired.
Got it.
And I just like to see I'd like to see tungsten cards coming out from the major players. Like, we got to go level it up a little bit.
I agree. I agree. You got to stand out. I mean, every card went metal recently. Like, basically every card is some sort of metal. So got to go into the rare metals. Tungsten.
Go rare.
Let's go to John Fio. He says, "If someone stops posting on Instagram, it means they are probably in a great place mentally. If someone stops posting on Twitter, it means they are probably about to commit national headline-worthy crimes." It's a good subtweet of the situation. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
That's the thing. So Instagram is a place to,
it's a dating site.
is for many is a dating site. It's a place to kind of just brag about your life. And X is a place to share your thoughts. So if your thoughts get so extreme that you can no longer share them, and you're somebody who historically was sharing kind of stream of consciousness, which is a lot of the best posters are just sort of sharing what they're thinking, stream of consciousness style. And so if that turns off, like, they either locked in with their business so hard, or we've seen posters that are our friends go silent while they're selling their company because they don't want to say something that's going to like botch the acquisition or whatever. But
obviously there's some good reasons to stop posting, but in general.
But yeah, and you see this with fund managers who are down bad. They'll stop posting. Like a lot of the like very popular GPs from 2021 went kind of dark for 2023 because they were just like going through it. But now they're back. Many of them are back now.
Many of them are back.
Got a few markups, feeling good again. Raised Fund 3. You know, they're
you gotta
back
get back on the
game.
horse. I mean, the best people that make it through always
Post through it.
Restart. Yeah, posting through it is always good, but restarting the posting just to kind of liven up the serendipity engine, get it more contacts.
Yeah, in many ways, like Chamath would have stopped posting with how much hate he got for all the SPACs, but instead he launched a premium Substack.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Got it.
That's
like
right.
He's got like a ton of subscribers.
But also, I mean, there was a forcing function there, which was like he wasn't going to stop doing all in.
Yeah.
And so no matter how much like he got a ton of hate for different things, like the Uyghurs comment and all the different stuff. But he had this forcing function of like his boys being like, get on the mic, dude.
Stay in the game.
It's great. Podcasters high. It's
Podcasters high.
And it worked. He's still in the game. Love it. Reggie James says,
I got to stop you, John.
Let's do it.
You know what the show's about.
Of course.
It's about driving the bottom line. We got a promoted post from our friends over at Cognition. We talked about them at length earlier on the show, and they're jumping in here to talk about how Nubank refactors millions of lines of code with Devon, reducing a large-scale ETL migration from an estimated 1.5-year project to just 2 months. Devon successfully delivered 12x efficiency improvement on engineering time, helping reduce the developer toil for Nubank engineers as they scaled to 110 million customers. See why Vitor Olivier, Nubank CTO, is excited about the future of software engineering with Devon. Anyways, fantastic case study.
Yep.
This is the kind of case study that any startup would dream of, and it's why Devon has the hype that it does.
Yeah, so. And it would be very hard, even if you were able to hire a bunch of new grads, you put them on that project, it's going to be hard to keep them motivated. It's going to be hard to
it's not a sexy feature to work on, right?
Yeah. Even for the resume, it's
and
tough.
We're excited because now any developer in our audience can go sign up for Devon today and start getting access to the same quality of tool
for just $500 a month.
Yep.
So hit up Cognition and tell them the Technology Brothers sent you. Let's go to Reggie James. He says, one retweet can send your message to a completely foreign digital land. Well, welcome to our foreign digital land, Reggie. You're in the Technology Brothers universe now.
Reggie's at home here as a OG Technology Brother. But no, everybody that's had a tweet go viral will experience this. We had a tweet yesterday about Lena Khan.
Oh yeah.
And eventually it got retweeted by people that came into and that drove people to start dunking on us. I don't know if you saw this. A bunch of people were like defending Lena Khan.
Really?
Being like, she's sticking up for the little guy or whatever, which I didn't totally get.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, any retweet can send you into a totally different audience that wasn't necessarily the intended audience.
Yep.
And that's the magic of X,
It's fantastic. And stuff like that, I want stakes on X. I want there to be the threat of getting retweeted into oblivion and then having to lock my account and turn off my DMs because I'm getting so many death threats. That gives me stakes. That gives me skin in the game.
Skin in the game.
I don't want to be in an echo chamber.
Posters high.
I mean, I got canceled in Alaska Twitter once, which was great. I said like Alaska is amazing and we should all move there. And both the right and the left, the lefty Alaskans were like, stay out of here. This is our land. Like you need to acknowledge the land that you're going up here, and all the right wingers up there were like, you wouldn't last a day in here.
Keep Alaska.
Exactly. And they were like sending me pictures of their guns.
I can see Russia from my house.
Yeah, being like, if you come up here, you wouldn't last a day. Like you'd freeze. Like you're some Silicon Valley bud.
And you're like,
bro.
Hey, I got a Cabot meteorite.
Yeah, 1911.
1911. I think I'll do just fine.
Yeah. Say that to my Chi-Tac in 408.
Yeah. Say that to my minigun.
My intervention. Let's go to Delian. He says, there's this consensus talking point in Silicon Valley that at this point, all tier 1 VCs are founder friendly. On the other hand, in my 7 years in VC, I have personally had to use our legal rights from the shares we own to block other tier 1 VCs from firing founders 3 times. This is crazy. He's told me some of these stories. I don't know all three. But it is crazy. I mean, the founder friendly thing, it really just became a meme, and it was so easy to put up a blog post, and then no one calls anyone out and no one really says anything publicly because you're all syndicating deals and you don't want to really piss off anyone else. But it is true. Like, there are some bad actors out there, and a lot of it's like rational based on the fund dynamics. You know, incentives matter. There aren't necessarily that many evil people in Silicon Valley. It's really just the fact that when incentives get misaligned and there's a partner who has their career riding on a particular deal and they feel like this CEO is really screwing things up, their natural reaction is, you know, they're backed into a corner. It's a fight or flight response, and you have to have your fund set up in a way that you can actually take the zero if it is crazy, and your brand can take the L of backing a company that blows up and move on. But if you've staked your reputation as a VC on this one company, you've put so much of your money in there, and you think that there's a solid business there, and it's just the leadership that's wrong, which could be true. It's really hard to say no. So it's tough.
This is why this is why YC is like actually a very positive
it's a
force
union
in terms of it's a union for founders
basically. Yeah. If you do something bad to a YC founder, like every single YC founder is going to find out.
Yeah.
And that's like thousands of
a year.
Yeah. I mean, it goes on Bookface. Like, Gary built that thing, and like there's a whole database of VCs and with ratings. Like how'd they do, what'd they do to you, all this stuff. It's crazy. Anyway, we got to get more stories out of Delian and leak those here anonymously, of course. But let's move on to Jack Randall. He says the New York Stock Exchange 10 years ago versus today, same but different. And he now works with the co-founder of Robinhood. He's there with Vlad Tenev and the other co-founder, and they're starting a new company, and Jack's working on it, that is setting up solar panels in space that will beam down the energy via laser.
No way.
To ground stations. Yeah.
Because I saw that other company that Sean McGuire backed that was selling daylight at night.
Yep.
So I like that we're getting all of these new weird
it was
things that are not just.
I think it was in Andreessen's like call for startups. This idea that like launch is getting so cheap. Varda's one of the first movers, but there will be other companies that are doing things that are completely off of SpaceX's roadmap, but leverage the launch capabilities. There's some people that are trying to do computing in space because of the temperature. There's people doing the energy and the light and but this is specifically harnessing the energy and then beaming it down with a laser. And all of these startups, it's like, I'm like, this seems insane. But I never actually talk trash, because it's like, I haven't built a spreadsheet to see if this actually works. Like, it's possible. I don't know what assumptions need to come true. Like, does launch need to go down to like $100 a kilo, $10 a kilo, $1 a kilo to like make it make sense? But like, that could happen. I don't know what the assumptions are, but you know, all these people are smart. I mean, this guy started Robinhood. It's like a huge company. Like, I don't think he like missed a zero in his spreadsheet. I think he thought it through. So I'm
also
bullish.
That level of execution with Robinhood in an industry that competitive, you don't reach. You get lucky along the way, but you don't reach that level of scale by accident.
Yep.
And so. The other thing that just should be said with any of these, any space related company is like, it's hard enough to launch B2B software, and you're like making this new feature and you launch it and there's like bugs and like this button's not working for these users and all that stuff. And if you're launching stuff into space, the stakes are so much higher. Yeah. And if you have any of these like tiny sort of marginal errors, it can just end in total failure.
Oh yeah.
And so the kind of caliber of people that are doing this and are going to be successful at it are just giga chads. Yeah. Like, you just have to be on another level to actually do this successfully, because you can't just like ship and like, let's see what happens. It's like, you have to ship with intention.
You make a bunch of money in fintech. I mean, this is an age-old story.
Oh yeah, they made their money in money.
Basically. I mean, that's the story of Elon with SpaceX. Like, made his money in PayPal. Dumped it all in something crazier that required a massive backstop, and the Robinhood guys have enough money to back up the truck if they need to, if they really believe in it, and that's amazing. And that's just something that I think the rest of the financial community will rally around and be like, let's do it. Yeah, it's great. Let's go to Alex Cohen. He says, incredibly funny that European AI regulations are so backwards that the Taliban gets access to new open AI products before Europe does. That's just
so
insane.
brutal.
I can't believe this.
So brutal.
I don't even know if this is true, but somebody says, bring it to Europe, please. And he says, we want to.
Surely if you were going to follow the laws,
yeah,
it probably is true.
But is this true? How can the Taliban have access? I mean, who knows? I mean, it's certainly less of like a regulatory overhead. So if you can, maybe if they're not, even if they don't have a server there, if they could VPN somewhere.
Taliban loves memes and language models, meme coins and language models.
Awful.
Either way, I'm excited to see more about Alex's new startup. He's got a voice AI company in the healthcare space. So,
nice, yeah.
It's called Hello Patient. Had a cool launch video for it. So excited to see what he does there.
Yeah, great poster too.
Great poster.
Let's go to Jared Madfus. He says, Jacked Founder Thesis, which you talked about on the show earlier.
Yep.
He must have been listening because he was like, I got to post that.
No. So I talked about it. I think somebody sent it to him or he listened to it. Sure. And then I kind of butchered it. So I was like, post it. Exactly. Let's give it some proper coverage here.
Yeah. So he says, the Jack Founder thesis is, I have never lost money investing in elite technical founders that are in the 1,000-pound club, composite of their bench press, squat, and deadlift over 1,000 pounds. They are simply too big to fail.
That's the best
Great post.
Too big to fail.
Great post.
Just unreal. And then in the thread, he actually gives examples of
the founders?
No
way.
That's the individual founders. So anyways, Jack Founder thesis, if you're investing in technical founders and you're a little bit lost in the sauce, maybe you're non-technical, just follow Jared's 1,000-pound club model, and you'll do well.
Okay, let's go to Gary Tan. He says, I want this and I would fund this too. And he's quote tweeting Andre Karpathy, who says, one of my favorite applications of LLMs is reading books together. I want to ask questions and hear generated discussion, notebook LM style, while it's automatically conditioned on the surrounding content. I love that. Tyler Cowen had a post about ChatGPT 01 being a fundamental paradigm shift in how people read books. And I found this to be true. I was at the Nutcracker, and while I was there, I was on my phone, and I was like, I feel like I'm kind of being disrespectful. It feels like I'm texting, but I'm really like asking the AI for the backstory to actually enrich this experience. And I'm actually more engaged than someone who's just sitting there watching but zoned out. I'm actually locked in. And so I think that we need more applications. The interesting thing is that for most books, you actually don't need special conditioning. And Tyler pointed this out, was like a lot of times you're reading a book and you're like, oh, I need to like find a PDF and then load that into ChatGPT in order so that it knows the book, so that I can ask it questions, tell it that I'm on page 67. But a lot of times, like, it kind of already knows, and it knows everything. And so you can just ask questions, and it really puts the onus on like figuring out what questions to ask. And that's really important to the inquiry. Tyler had this whole riff on as a professor at GMU, George Mason, it used to be about him teaching students, and now he grades the students based on what they teach him. And so his job is just to ask questions, and whoever answers them the best.
I saw something else about a professor who was saying he encourages his students to have these language models write the essay that he's tasked with them, and that's now the average essay, and your job is to write something that is much higher quality than what the model put out. And when I saw this post from Gary, it made me think of Daniel and like the Readwise team, because that feels like something they already have this huge customer base of sort of pretty online readers, and rolling out some type of software like this seems like they could have a pretty strong edge there. So Daniel, when you listen to this, go back to the original post, check it out. But
obviously you can use ChatGPT, but probably still an opportunity to build something bespoke. And so if you're looking for an idea for the next YC batch, start hacking.
Start DMing Gary.
Let's move on to Pixel Mothman. They say, while my AI friend is spooked by Ghost, TriRamp is dominating X. Based Beth Bezos is pulling more monthly views on X than Forbes. And I'm haunted by Tech Bros Pod not featuring any of my tweets, X tweets. I don't even know. I don't know either, man.
Well, that changes now.
That changes now. You're on the show. Welcome.
You're on the show.
You're officially a guest.
First of many.
We will follow you back. We're excited to have you on. Thanks
I think one of the more
us.
insightful things here is I bet you Beth does get more impressions than any of these like big legacy
He's a beast. I swear he has the notifications like turned on to the point where like if someone he likes posts, he like gets a push notification. You know that?
Yeah.
Like the alarm
Post
bell.
Notifications.
He is quick with.
He's quick with it.
Tweets. Yeah. I hung out with him a little bit in Miami just for a minute. First time meeting him. He wasn't on X right then, but he must be, given that he's quick on the trigger.
Yeah. I think he was just absorbing takes from the community there.
Yes. He also gave a talk in a debate about AI doom. Fun poster. Okay, so this is the post that I wanted to cover about GM shutting down Cruise. This is a wild post, and I screenshotted it because I thought it might get taken down. I don't know if it's still up.
Yeah,
but this is Kyle Vogt, the founder of Cruise. Went through YC. He's one of the Twitch co-founders with Justin Kahn. Michael Seibel, Emmett Shear, I believe his name is. And after he started Cruise, which was this self-driving car company, they started with the Audi A4. They eventually built their own cars. Then they get acquired by GM pretty early for $1 billion, great outcome. And then they're working internally, and he was at the company still building, even though they were internal. They had a ton of resources, and they were live in San Francisco, and they were a competitor to Waymo. And then they had,
and I remember he left, and it was like, I think it was a surprise to a lot of people. So this is him being able to speak his truth finally.
So Kyle says, in case it was unclear before, it is clear now. GM are a bunch of dummies. And Rune just says Lamau. And then Salvino Armati says, you sold them a layup $100 billion business, and those redacted clowns still managed to fumble.
Brutal.
Dunked. Yeah. I mean, how can you not be in the self-driving game?
How do you shut that?
The CEO, Mary Barra, I believe that's her name, GM, said, like, we're not in that business. It's expensive, blah, blah, blah. We're in the car making business.
This is
and
why.
I get that GM is struggling, but like, you got to bet on the future. That's the only way to leapfrog.
We need a re-industrialized poster to acquire GM and return it to glory.
Seriously.
LBO GM.
Yeah.
It's not going to be cheap, but...
Who knows? It might be. They've been bankrupt like 25 times.
Yeah.
So who knows? True. Okay. Let's go to Arvind Srinivas. I'm going to struggle with that name for a while. The Perplexity CEO and founder. He says, P. Marca, can you wire me $1 billion? Because Donald Trump says any person or company investing $1 billion or more in the United States of America will receive fully expedited approvals and permits, including, but in no way limited to, all environmental approvals. Get ready to rock. And so, the race is on. You need to acquire $1 billion of capital ASAP. You need to size up those fundraisers, guys, because the gates of innovation are wide open, and you must.
But here's the thing.
Push.
I don't think Andreessen is an investor in Perplexity yet.
Oh, they aren't?
And so when I saw this, I was like, are they just kind of like joking with each other because like a round is in the works?
Maybe.
Because like it seems like a company that A16Z should be in.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of like a funny thing, even especially if a term sheet had already been signed of like, hey, can you give me $1 billion? So I don't have any inside info there, unfortunately, but we'll probably find out soon enough.
Well, let's go back to GM because George Hotz dropped a great analysis on the Cruise situation. George writes, today, GM pulled funding from Cruise robotaxis. I called this 5 years ago. I remember him calling this. If you had been paying attention, self-driving has played out exactly like I said it would. Tesla will win, and Comma AI will take second with an open source solution like the smartphone market with iOS and Android. Today, Tesla has the biggest fleet, and we have the second biggest. Tons. I have a Comma AI car. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Why don't you give some backstory on Comma?
So Comma is a open source software package that George and his team at Comma maintain. You buy a device that's essentially a smartphone that he makes internally in a office in San Diego. I toured it. It's amazing. And it has a camera. It has a front-facing camera, a couple rear-facing cameras that look out on the road. It takes in those images. It runs it through a neural network, through an AI model, and it figures out where the lane lines are. It draws a path for where your car needs to be, and then it sends that signal to your car over the OBD2 port, which is the diagnostic port, kind of the USB-C for cars, that if you come into the shop and they want to know what's going on with your car, they plug in there, but you can control the car through there. And so it works with hundreds of different cars, gas, electric, all sorts of different cars, and it's a fantastic product. Like, it is so much better than the stock system in Mercedes, BMW, Audi, everything except for Tesla. It's way better. It keeps you dead center in the lane. It's insane. Like, I've driven this thing for hours, hands in the lap, feet on the floor, just sitting like I'm a passenger. It's amazing.
Crazy.
It's so good.
We should put it in a P1.
I'm trying to get him to put it in better cars because he obviously they focus
from a marketing standpoint.
Obviously they focus on
fast cars have always been good marketing.
Yeah, they focus on like the most popular cars, so it's a lot of like Hyundais and Hondas and just random cars. But you put that thing in a Rolls Royce, like that's what you want. He has a Rolls Royce, and it doesn't work because it has mechanical steering. So there's a lot of cars that aren't compatible, and now there's cars that are encrypting the OBD2 port to lock out comma, which is such an anti-feature. It's so hostile. So we need a boycott of any car company that's disabling comma, and then we need comma to start being sold in dealerships.
The only thing I would say is if you're a manufacturer and you're allowing people to add this open source self-driving functionality, does that open you up to any risk?
It shouldn't.
But it's America.
Oh,
so.
Like now Apple's going to tell you what phone case you can put on. Like, this is America. Like, let me be free. Right to repair is important. Let me hack on my stuff. This is George's lineage. He was the first guy to jailbreak the iPhone. He was the first guy to jailbreak the PlayStation, and that's essentially what he did. He jailbroke cars.
Yeah.
And so he's built this fantastic product that I highly recommend to anyone. It's like a couple $1,000. It'll upgrade your driving experience incredibly. So he continues to say, tons of self-driving car startups have shut down with zero to show for it. Ghost Autonomy raised $240 million, worth zero. Argo AI raised $3.7 billion, worth zero. Investors are now going to waste billions.
I don't even know about Argo.
I know. Investors are now going to waste billions on humanoid robots. Can anyone stop this train wreck? It is just as obvious as last time. Comma is the furthest along with the scalable tech needed to solve self-driving and eventually humanoids. We have end-to-end methods shipped that 10K people are now driving with, myself included. You can buy it on our website. And we have state-of-the-art learned world model simulator tech, which is a lot more pure than what Tesla is doing. Self-driving is a couple years from its AlphaGo moment. Again, nobody will believe me because believing me isn't the hype way. It doesn't allow for brain-dead idiots to throw billions of dollars at large-scale garbage. It requires 10 to 100 very smart people carefully fixing the bugs in a fully end-to-end software stack. That's just how the problem is. By the way, if you are one of those 10 to 100 smart people who actually wants to solve self-driving, not whatever Cruise did for the last 10 years, come work at Comma. We have the most straightforward hiring page I've ever seen. Hiring is a challenge and bounty based. And
potential brother of the week here.
Let's put him to the side. Fantastic. George is amazing to talk to and hang out with. Brilliant thinker, and I think he's right that the model that will win is very, very tight. Are you familiar with like end-to-end self-driving? Basically, the AI takes in images, and so the default way to do self-driving is you use the AI to understand the world and basically identify the lane lines in the images, but then you translate those into something that like a video game world, and then you're using C++, not machine learning, to mathematically calculate what the accelerator should do, what the steering wheel should do. But you don't need to do that. You can actually go end to end and have a machine learning model from start to finish, just look at the images and decide what the output should be. Just translate from, if you see this, apply braking pressure. If you see this, apply the accelerator. If you see this, steer left, steer right. And that is where Tesla's going. That's where Comma already is. And everyone else is just completely messing around with like crazy models that don't scale. And so
you're saying that's what Waymo is doing, even with their full like LiDAR
I'm not sure what the latest and greatest with Waymo is, but George has always been bearish on Waymo because at one point they had a cone guy whose job it was just to write software to identify cones. And that's an example of like, they were able to throw so many resources at it that they had a cone guy, a stoplight guy, a dog guy, and their whole job is just build a model that just identifies dogs.
It's good to have guys, but more so like you got your guy for private security.
Exactly. Or
something like that.
Yeah. And so, the model of trying to get every edge case. In George's world is that is a failing strategy, because eventually you'll get to, there's an order of magnitude more edge cases, and then there's another order of magnitude edge cases, but scale allows you, with a scaled machine learning model, to capture all of those essentially and learn the actual underlying behavior of a human. And so, still very bullish on comma. The company's too small, should be bigger. It's fantastic. I love it.
It's a long-term. So he's already thinking long-term
for a long time.
right?
Yeah.
So he's saying like we're 2 years out from the.
I kept asking him why don't you go and raise $1 billion? He's like, because that wouldn't pull things forward. Like, this stuff just takes time. We need great people working on it. We need to just collect the data, continue. Like, there's nothing that we can do to pull this forward. I want to own a lot of my company, and I want to just solve this. That's all I care about.
Very
fantastic.
Cool.
Let's go to Jason Liu.
Brother behavior.
He says, this is my first angel investment of 2024, Augmental. I'll be onboarded Friday and soon be able to shitpost on Twitter with my mouth.
Okay, so I know nothing about this company except that it seems very clear that it's a human-machine interface that uses the retainer form factor or Invisalign form factor. Yeah. So I'm assuming you get to talk into it.
I think we talked about this on a previous episode.
Maybe you get to whisper into it.
Yeah, I was talking about like with the AirPods, it can be very distracting to like talk. But when you get your wisdom teeth out, you could essentially like put a microphone in there and then be talking or whispering.
You lose the wisdom of the wisdom teeth.
Yes.
But you add the wisdom of language models.
Exactly. So then you can just whisper, and the AI can take that in, or the phone call or transcript or anything like that.
Imagine having friend.com in one of your molars.
Yeah, because you can wear an earpiece that no one can hear, but talking is still disruptive. People hear what you're saying. But if you're just able to whisper and it can pick it up, that's pretty powerful. So this seems like a better solution than going in for anesthesia and getting your wisdom teeth out. Just pop the retainer in. So probably an interesting thing. Huge pushback on the form factor. I'm sure people will be like, that's disgusting. It's like getting moldy and stuff. But I like that someone's trying it.
Let's Jason, let us know how it goes. Once you're
give us the review.
Post at us using the mouthpiece.
Yeah, interesting. He made the angel investment and he is getting onboarded, but hasn't actually used it yet. I'm excited.
Great picture though.
This is great. Let's go to Everett Randall. He says, have never been more bullish on a podcast/X account than Tech Bros Pod. Can we get a coin going so the early adopters can invest? Thank you, Ev. We really appreciate the shout out, the love.
And we replied back, the best way, if you want to benefit from the show, buy LVMH stock.
Yep.
It's just a fantastic proxy.
Yep.
And we see that stock.
We're buying a lot of Dom Perignon.
We don't give stock tips or anything like that. We're not Jim Cramer over here, but yeah, it's we're buying a lot of champagne. We double quite frequently, and so we expect that those sales to really help the French conglomerate.
Yeah.
So
it's great to be supported by another member of the Holy Trinity.
Totally.
Ev over at Kleiner Perkins, one of the Holy Trinity firms. Fantastic. I think we got Sean McGuire next. Hopefully we can get Sequoia on board with the Tech Bros Pod movement. And then I think it's in the bag.
In the bag.
Let's go to Sean. He says, you can't make this up. The Information runs a provocative headline asking if SpaceX's valuation is irrational, but their math is off by a factor of 1,000. $350 billion divided by 2 times 4 million equals 43.75K. This also doesn't count Starlink enterprise and gov revenue that it's doubling year over year. And so, of course, they might write the Dealmaker newsletter, but over at the Information, they're not deal makers.
Have they done deals?
They're not deal makers. Not a lot of Excel over there. A lot of Microsoft Word.
Well, here's what I'd like to see. Let's get Sean a position at the Information as executive editor and contributor, and just run the articles by him before you put them out. He will catch it.
I think so.
He's on it.
He would have caught this.
He's effectively like he's doing the work for them already. He should get paid for it.
But I respect Sean, a capital allocator, putting the information in the truth zone. That's important. There's a reason people have been calling it the misinformation. We obviously don't promote that, but with errors like this, it kind of makes sense that people refer to as the misinformation sometimes, because this is a big
Ouch.
big mistake. Hopefully they'll issue a mea culpa and just shut the entire operation down. Let's move on to Tren Griffin. He says SpaceX share sales values the company at about $350 billion. Tender offer includes $1.25 billion of stock at $185 a share. Bloomberg. Employee liquidity for the win. We are selling to willing buyers at the current fair market price. Yeah, it's good. Get those employees liquidity. I mean, the company is 20 years old. Like, it's like you could
wasn't exactly a speed run.
You could be a new grad and your company's still not public. It's like you're 45 now. Like, you have a family and like college to pay for. Like, this is not some seed stage founder who wants to do some cheeky secondary and buy a sports car.
Yeah.
This is I need money to pay for my kids' education at this point with a lot of these folks.
It's no longer cheeky secondary.
But if I worked there, it'd be hard to sell. It's a pretty good company.
Yeah.
Let's go back to John Fio. He says, America has totally forgotten about small town America. We're about to remember that this life is not only possible, but better. The next wave happens in small town America, full stop. This is the next frontier. And he shares a picture from Portland, Maine. Yeah, I love that Fio actually lives in a small town. Like, it's very cool that he went and did that.
I mean, Nashville is not exactly a small town, but it's like certainly smaller than New York.
Yeah. He's moving that direction.
Yeah.
Which is great.
He'll eventually be the mayor of a small town somewhere. And
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, this every once in a while a post will pop up and it'll be like, there's not a housing crisis. You just don't want to live in Idaho. And it'll be like a $300,000 house. It just is like beautiful 4-bedroom house on an acre and like near, walking distance of the city or whatever. Yeah. And so, I think the whole remote work trend is actually a multi-decade trend where people it's still like underhyped in many ways, and it hasn't had the level of impact that it will when people realize like, oh, I can go move to a small town with a group of my friends and make it something new.
Let's go to a promoted post.
We got a promote post here. This one is from Will O'Brien, friend of the show. He says, join the Ulysses founding team. Come be my right hand on the GTM front at our base here in San Francisco and help us scale our technology around the world. We are reducing the cost of doing critical ocean activities like how SpaceX is reducing launch costs. We've developed technology that reduces the cost of seagrass restoration by 10x and closed $1 million of revenue. This is just the start. Ulysses is on a path to power every ocean task and become critical infrastructure for the $8 trillion ocean economy. Our mission is to steward the ocean for an abundant future. This was top of mind for me. There was a post that went viral this week. I think Steinman covered it and Will covered it as well, talking about how China has these floating cities where they'll just show up somewhere and just like completely strip all life out of the ocean and just like kill everything, ship it back to China. And Will was maybe a little bit shit posting, but talking about how talking about wanting to prevent that and some of the technology that he's building. So ocean economy is $8 trillion. If you want to work at a potentially a future $1 trillion company, go work for Will, the SpaceX of the seas.
And tell him the Technology Brothers sent you. Let's go to Preston Holland, the private jet guy. He says, seen in a group, lol, and it's a post that says, I have a large social media influencer that is looking for an empty leg from Miami to Philly in exchange for incorporating the jet or broker company into the video and being tagged and included in all posts. 250K followers on Instagram, 900K on TikTok, 150 on YouTube. Is anyone interested in being involved? I can provide all of the analytics for each of his pages. DM me with interest. It's funny. Why not try? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Go for it.
The thing I would respect, it's not like a super small time. It's not like I think 900K on TikTok gets you squarely into the influencer bucket. You're no longer a micro influencer.
Yeah.
Micro influencer is still that 10 to like 100K range, somewhere in there. So anyways, good shot on goal. There's 7 million full-time influencers in the United States, something like that. So these people need to fly private sometimes. Empty legs are a great way to do that.
I love it.
If you're just getting into the game.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. We are back, and let's go to a post from David Senra. David Senra writes, Brad Jacobs has started 8 different billion-dollar businesses. He was kind enough to invite me to his home, and we had an incredible 2-hour conversation that felt like 20 minutes. I made an episode about what I learned. Episode is available now. Highly recommend going and checking out the Brad Jacobs episode on Founders Podcast. It's in your RSS feeds. It's on Spotify. David's a good friend of the show, godfather of podcasting in many ways. It's really like a testament to the power of podcasting that this was able to happen because of all the work that David's put into his show. He's spent years and years studying the great entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and for every episode that he does like this, he gets 300 people reaching out saying, "Can I do an episode with you?"
Yep.
And so he's saying no to like 99% of them.
Oh yeah.
And then a handful actually are worth doing, and you end up with content like that.
Yeah.
But Brad Jacobs is an animal. Like he has like a very methodical way that he builds billions of dollars of enterprise value,
and he wrote a book.
And he's done it over and over and over.
Yeah, and he wrote a book.
Great.
So David's able to cover it. How to Make a Few $1 Billion, I think it's called. It's great.
It's such an incredible name.
But it's amazing because David, like so many of the books are by founders who have passed away. And it's very much like a history show, but he's in many ways like caught up to reality and covered so many people that now the great entrepreneurs of this generation are like, I want to talk to you. I looked up to Rockefeller. I looked up to Steve Jobs.
And it's a good example of, we've talked on the show a lot about how if you're doing anything in startups and venture and you start asking for people to sign NDAs, it's like a very negative signal.
Yep.
Brad Jacobs has basically published his entire strategy and methodology for building billion-dollar companies.
Yep.
And he's willing to put it all out there because it really is so much comes down to execution that he can write out exactly what he does. And he's still not worried that other people are going to attack his business, his existing companies, or go after new opportunities that he wants. So anyways, tons to learn from that book though. And it's great. Great work from David.
Let's go to Gabby. She says, whoever did all this to the Photos app needs to be tried at The Hague.
This is so real. Have you tried? I mean,
it's awful.
The whole iOS 18.1 is the worst update that I can ever remember. I posted about this myself. One of our listeners said that it was LinkedIn coded, but I was angry. But the Photos app is truly abysmal. Like I go in there knowing exactly what I want to get, and it's like playing whack-a-mole, trying to just find like the right section of the app.
I will steelman it. I think that they are going through a transition and they want to get away from all the hard-coded UI entirely, and they want it just to be a search bar at the top, and they want search to be so good that you can actually just search for dog video and it will automatically filter for videos, and it has dog in there.
No, I totally get what they're trying to do. I wish there was a way. I still wish there was a single place that gave you the feed of photos, because that's really what I want. I don't care about the AI organization.
Yeah, and there's all these times when I download a video, an image from the internet, and it has a different date because that image was created a year ago, and so it just goes way back. And I'm like, where is this thing? And I wind up saving it 5 times. I wind up just taking screenshots, and then those are messy. It's just a disaster.
And the video functionality of the camera completely broke for me. I had like 5 or so different like moments with my children that I recorded, and then before realizing that like it no longer saves videos for me. So standing by for an update there. Yeah.
It's great. Let's go to TJ Parker. TJ says, the best chance Democrats have in the next election is running Alex Karp. I love that. Karp is the man, very thoughtful philosopher, been on the left for a long time, strong Democrat, but understands the importance of the Western order and has been...
And great style too, which matters.
Great style, yeah. The problem is that he's just running too important of a company to step back. I don't think he could do it.
But he's got a lot of runway. So.
Yeah. But I would love to see it. I would be happy to support Karp in a future election. I hope it happens. Let's go to...
Hold up, John. I got to jump in here with a promoted post. If there's 2 things we love on this show, it is capital allocators and watches. We just wanted to jump in here and support Bill Ackman. He says, a little bit of shameless promotion for my favorite watch company, Bremont. The Bremont Submarine 500-meter automatic and camouflage ceramic. Perfect for the toughest city streets and underwater operations. So I love that he's showing that this is a versatile watch.
Yep.
I'm sure Ackman wears these in boardrooms during activist campaigns, and even when he's getting wild over the weekend doing some underwater operations. So anyways, fantastic looking watch. I wasn't familiar with Braemont, but now I am. And thank you for promoting fine watchmaking, Bill.
And I believe he's an investor in the company, or he owns the company, which is
I would
cool.
hope so.
At a certain point, we have the 2% rule. For a capital allocator of his size, the only option left is to buy the whole company.
Buy the damn thing.
Buy the damn thing. Let's close out with Daniel Doyon. He says, technology brothers only want 4 things in life, and it's disgusting. And it's a picture of a beautiful woman with a baby, a private jet, a wonderful Patek Philippe Grand Complication, and a Ferrari 296, I believe. Fantastic
Great choices, Daniel.
You definitely have taste.
He is living it. Go check out his company, Readwise.
Oh,
and thank you for being a listener and supporter of the movement for loud opulence.
Yeah, we love it. We hope to see more of those. Send us your photos. Send us your ideas. DM us questions. We'll answer them on the show. Follow us on X. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We have video on Spotify now, so go check that out if you're listening on Spotify. And we have to jump because our tailor is here. Not a joke. We are actually getting fitted for new suits. So
it's important.
Stay safe out there.
The show would not be possible without suits. So
thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.